What happens when you try to steal the spotlight from the league's biggest star, and she doesn't even show up? That's exactly what Angel Reese tried during the 2025 WNBA All-Star Weekend. She walked into Indianapolis like she owned the place. New Reebok deal, flashy billboards, and a bold message: "I'm in your city." The plan? Hijack Caitlin Clark's moment, flip the script, and crown herself queen of the WNBA. But instead of fireworks, she got silence. Ratings crashed. Ticket sales plummeted. Her highly anticipated shoe launch barely made a ripple. And worst of all, the one person she was trying to outshine, Caitlin Clark, wasn't even playing. It was a full-blown marketing disaster. One that didn't just expose a failed campaign. It exposed the brutal truth about who's really running the league. Let's break down how Angel Reese's takeover plan blew up in real time, and why the WNBA's future may ride on one player and one player only. Angel Reese had everything lined up. The 2025 WNBA All-Star Weekend wasn't just a sporting event. It was supposed to be her grand takeover. Reebok was all in. Billboards towered over Indianapolis. Instagram was flooded with promo reels. And at the heart of it all, the debut of her signature shoe, the Angel Reese 1. Two bold colorways dropped, Diamond Dust and Me Bounds, with hype swirling that this was the future of women's basketball fashion. Reebok positioned it like a movement. This wasn't just about sneakers. It was supposed to signal a shift, a new face, a new voice, a new queen. And the timing looked perfect on paper. The All-Star Game was being hosted in Indianapolis, Caitlin Clark's turf. Reese's team knew exactly what they were doing. The whole campaign was built around one idea: launch the brand where the spotlight is brightest. And in 2025, that spotlight meant one name: Caitlin Clark. But here's the problem. You can't build an empire on borrowed energy. Reese wasn't just dropping a shoe. She was attempting a hostile takeover of Clark's kingdom. The ad screamed, "I'm in your city," like a bold declaration of dominance. But what looked powerful on a billboard started to feel forced the moment you scratched beneath the surface. See, Reese didn't position herself as a standalone star. She positioned herself as a rival, a challenger, someone stepping into Clark's arena, hoping the crowd would confuse imitation with impact. Reebok didn't hide it either. The entire marketing machine was set up to ride the wave Clark had already created. Reese wasn't being built up as the next big thing. She was being tethered to someone who already was, and the plan might have worked if one crucial variable hadn't completely blown it all up. Everything Angel Reese planned hinged on one thing: Caitlin Clark showing up. Reebok had aligned the release of the Angel Reese 1 to All-Star Weekend for maximum visibility. Indianapolis was buzzing. The strategy was clear: launch the shoe, flood the media, and let the Caitlin Clark spotlight draw in the attention. Even if Clark wasn't the face on the box, she was the gravitational force behind it. But then, the worst-case scenario happened, just days before the event. Clark was sidelined with a groin injury. She didn't suit up. She didn't warm up. She didn't play. Instead, she watched the game from the bench, dressed in street clothes, while Reese tried to launch a brand on a court missing its main attraction. And the fallout was immediate. Viewership dropped off a cliff. In 2024, the All-Star Game shattered records with 3.44 million viewers, thanks largely to Clark's presence. This year, just 2.19 million tuned in. That's a brutal 36% drop. For context, that's like the Super Bowl losing 1 out of every 3 viewers overnight. Ticket prices nosedived too. The get-in price for the game plummeted from $121 to just $64 after news broke that Clark wouldn't be playing. That's nearly half the value, gone in an instant. And suddenly, Reese wasn't the face of a new era. She was the headliner for a weekend that felt empty. Her moment to shine had become a moment of silence. And without Clark on the floor, there was no orbit for Reese to gravitate around. Her "I'm in your city" campaign didn't look confident. It looked misplaced because the city she was trying to conquer had already gone quiet. And this was just the beginning of the unraveling. Angel Reese didn't just show up in Indianapolis. She tried to plant her flag. Everywhere you looked, billboards, Instagram reels, flashy promo videos, Reese's face was front and center. The slogan, "I'm in your city." The vibe? Like she was declaring war on enemy turf, like she'd already won. But here's the problem. Nobody was fighting her. Caitlin Clark wasn't on the court. She wasn't talking trash. She wasn't even present in the conversation. And without that friction, Reese's campaign didn't look bold. It looked awkward, like trying to take the throne while the queen is away and hoping nobody notices the crown doesn't fit. Fans noticed. Fast. Social media lit up with criticism. Tweets mocked the campaign. One viral post said, "She can't even sell her shoe without piggybacking off Caitlin Clark." Another joked, "More photographers than fans at this launch." Lol. People weren't rallying behind Reese. They were questioning why she was trying so hard to step into someone else's spotlight. And while her most loyal followers tried to hype the launch, the vibe on the ground said otherwise. The energy just wasn't there. The takeover felt staged, manufactured. It wasn't a moment, it was a marketing stunt that lacked one crucial thing: authenticity. Instead of proving she could stand on her own, Reese ended up showing how much her brand depended on someone else's gravity. And this wasn't just a public opinion problem. It was a business problem. Because even behind the scenes, the people signing her checks were showing their cards. If the public was skeptical of Angel Reese's sudden rise, the behind-the-scenes moves confirmed their suspicions. Reebok didn't just believe in Reese, they were banking on her proximity to Caitlin Clark. And they weren't subtle about it. In the Netflix docuseries Power Moves, featuring Shaquille O'Neal, one quiet moment said everything. Shaq, who helped bring Reese to Reebok, was caught on camera, saying she needed to be dressed head to toe in Reebok gear, specifically when playing against Caitlin Clark. Let that sink in. Reebok wasn't focused on building Reese as her own brand. They were trying to make her relevant by association. Her spotlight only turned on when Clark stepped into the frame, not because she earned it, but because she was standing close enough to catch the reflection. That's not a strategy. That's dependence. Instead of promoting Reese as a powerhouse, Reebok leaned into the rivalry narrative. They wanted drama, a feud, a reason to tie Reese's name to Clark's over and over again, even if the fans didn't buy it. And this wasn't just tone-deaf, it was risky, because it meant that any hiccup in Clark's schedule, like an injury or a missed game, would collapse the entire marketing strategy, which is exactly what happened. With Clark out of the All-Star game, the entire Reese campaign felt misplaced. There was no rivalry to sell, no tension to lean into, and no context for her bold "I'm in your city" message. It wasn't a takeover anymore. It was a solo act with no audience. And worse, it showed everyone just how fragile Reese's brand really was. Angel Reese looked at Caitlin Clark and saw a blueprint. Sold-out arenas, record-shattering viewership, a $28 million Nike deal, headlines everywhere. From the outside, it looked like a brand machine, one Reese thought she could copy. Just drop a flashy ad campaign, stir up some rivalry, drop a shoe, and watch the fame roll in. But star power doesn't work like that. Clark didn't become the face of a league overnight. She built it. One clutch shot, one raw interview. One packed stadium at a time. Her name isn't trending because of hype. It's because of trust. The fans believe in her. The connection is real. Just look at the numbers. When Caitlin Clark dropped her Nike Kobe 5 Protros, they sold out in under 60 seconds. Retail price? $190. Resale value, pushing past $600 within days, not because of marketing gimmicks, but because the demand was already baked in. She's not just popular, she's valuable. Now compare that to Reese. Reebok poured money into her All-Star Weekend debut. flashy names for the shoes, a massive launch event, non-stop social media promo, and yet, crickets. The Angel Reese one didn't sell out. It didn't trend. It barely moved the needle. Not because she isn't talented, but because star power isn't a costume you can throw on for a weekend. It's something earned over years, not built in a boardroom. And that's what Reese didn't grasp. She tried to skip the grind and jump straight to the crown. But the fans? They can smell the difference. They know when it's real and when it's performative. That's the harsh reality. If you're chasing someone else's spotlight, you're never really standing in your own. The WNBA All-Star Game is supposed to be the biggest night of the season, a celebration of the league's best talent, and this year, the roster was stacked. A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum, and of course, Angel Reese. The stars showed up, but the energy, it didn't. Fans weren't buzzing, social media wasn't lit, even the crowd inside the arena felt off. Something was missing, and by now, everyone knew what it was. Caitlin Clark. She wasn't on the floor, but her absence was louder than anything else happening on the court. Let's break it down. Last year's All-Star Game, with Clark in the mix, pulled 3.44 million viewers, an all-time high. This year, 2.19 million, a staggering 36% drop despite a more star-packed event. Ticket prices were slashed nearly in half, and resale markets tanked. That's not just a fluke. That's a message. It wasn't about the promos or the names on the billboards. It was about the connection. Fans didn't want noise. They wanted meaning. They wanted the player who made them care about the league in the first place. And Reese, for all her marketing, couldn't fill that gap. Even the Friday night events told the same story. The three-point contest and skills challenge drew 1.32 million viewers, almost double the year before. But let's be honest, that wasn't because fans wanted to see who could dribble through cones the fastest. That was Clark aftershock. People were still tuning in, hoping to catch a glimpse of the player who changed everything. Even if she wasn't playing, that's what real influence looks like. Angel Reese might have had the louder campaign, but Caitlin Clark still had the louder presence, even from the bench. As the dust settled from a lackluster All-Star Weekend, Angel Reese had one final message. She didn't thank the fans. She didn't acknowledge the ratings crash. She didn't even mention the elephant in the room, Caitlin Clark's absence. Instead, she posted to social media, "Shout out to the players, back to the regularly scheduled program." All caps, emphasis intentional. On the surface, it might seem like a typical sign-off, but to fans in Indianapolis, it landed differently. It felt like a jab, a passive-aggressive swipe at the very city that had been surprisingly gracious during a weekend that didn't go her way. No sellout crowds, no viral highlights, no signature moment. And rather than take accountability or even a moment of humility, Reese doubled down on the attitude that had already rubbed people the wrong way. The problem wasn't just the message, it was the disconnect. She came into Indianapolis swinging, screaming, "I'm in your city." But when things didn't go as planned, she acted like she never wanted their attention in the first place. It made her campaign look not just misguided, but arrogant. You don't claim someone else's throne and then blame the court when nobody applauds. And that's where Reese misread the room. Fans weren't rejecting her because they hated her. They were rejecting the forced narrative, the artificial hype, the assumption that a city built around Clark would suddenly bend the knee to someone else just because a billboard said so. Instead of embracing the fans or trying to win them over, Reese dismissed them. And that did more damage than any missed shot or quiet launch ever could. Because if there's one thing sports fans won't tolerate, it's someone who demands loyalty without earning respect. Angel Reese didn't just miscalculate the timing, she misunderstood the assignment. She looked at Caitlin Clark's success and thought it was something that could be mimicked, replicated with a few strategic ad buys, a catchy slogan, and a loud enough presence. But what she failed to realize is this: Real influence isn't built on exposure. It's built on connection. Caitlin Clark didn't become the face of the WNBA because she marketed herself into stardom. She became the face because fans chose her. The hype came after the loyalty, not the other way around. When Clark plays, arenas sell out, not because of flashy slogans, but because people feel something when they watch her. They trust her. They believe in her journey. That's why her Nike deal isn't just lucrative, it's historic. 8 years, $28 million, and a signature shoe expected to generate up to $150 million in revenue. Not because of ads, but because of earned demand. Compare that to Reese's Reebok rollout. Big budget, big promises, and silence. The Angel Reese one came and went like a commercial break nobody remembered. Not because she isn't marketable, but because she skipped the part where fans fall in love with your story. Even Reebok seemed to get it wrong. They weren't building Reese as a standalone star. They were positioning her like a co-star in someone else's saga. The behind-the-scenes strategy? Only go all in when she's facing Clark. That's not confidence. That's dependency. And it showed. Her I'm in Your City campaign felt less like a celebration and more like a plea. A call for attention, not a declaration of dominance. And when it didn't land, the fans didn't turn away in anger. They turned away in apathy. Because the truth had already been exposed. Star power isn't about stepping into someone else's arena and yelling louder. It's about earning your own space. One game, one moment, one honest connection at a time. Angel Reese wanted the outcome without the foundation. And the fans? They noticed. At the heart of it all, one brutal truth came into focus. You can't fake star power. You have to earn it. Angel Reese tried to seize a crown that wasn't hers. Not yet. Her campaign skipped the grind, skipped the legacy, and tried to shortcut greatness with slogans. But Caitlin Clark didn't need a campaign. She put in the work, years of blood, sweat, buzzer beaters, and broken records. Her rise wasn't choreographed, it was organic. Her brand? Built on connection, consistency, and undeniable talent. Meanwhile, Reese's effort felt like cosplay, a performance without the substance behind it. Because in sports, and especially the WNBA, fans know real from hype. They don't follow the loudest voice. They follow the one who shows up game after game and delivers magic. And this All-Star Weekend, it exposed the gap, not just in skill, but in what it means to be the face of a league.